It's the Nicolas R. Sequeira Show with Nicolas Sequeira, Nicolas Sequeira, and special musical guest, Nicolas Sequeira. Hello there. Welcome back to the Nicolas R. Sequeira Show. For this episode, as you may very well note, the camera is a bit higher so that it doesn't cut off the top of my head. I have it on a box full of giant trash bags. Anyway, some of you said this show is a rip-off of the Eric Andre show. It's not. I don't destroy my desk. It's not a rip-off of Steve Brule either. I am in no way attempting to copy the work of those fine people on Adult Swim, although I think Adult Swim has industrialized the process of absurdity, thereby ruining it. But anyway, as we begin, it's Halloween as I film this. Right after the commercial, we will have a very special guest star, Nicolas Sequeira, discussing Is Animation Dead? Last time we had a guest, Nicolas R. Sequeira, discuss whether Hollywood was dead. Today we will be covering a slightly more generalized topic, Is animation as we know it dead? Let me check how many seconds there are until commercial. Oh, quite a few actually. Opening monologue. Stephen Colbert does the opening monologue. It's essentially the only enjoyable part of his show. After that, it's all talking to celebrities like I do. So, in this monologue, I have a humorous anecdote. Up until a while ago, I didn't know if a thigh master was a exercise equipment or if it was to cook chicken thighs, because it sounds like it could kind of be either, right? Of course, I still have my mug. What else? This show is brought to you by life insurance for when you don't understand that in a utopia free of bureaucracy or laws which don't cause any harm to anyone, you could bury your dead in the ground wherever you wanted you to, so long as it didn't contaminate groundwater. But today, funerals cost so much that you need to pay a company an exorbitant fee monthly so that they can pay your funeral for you, except they're not really paying it. You're only paying for your own funeral in small increments. The same process could be achieved by just tossing $20 in a piggy bank every week. But it's for people who don't seem to grasp that the best kind of funeral is just to dispose of bodies in backyards and such. And, you know, old houses have cemeteries, family cemeteries, where you could just bury your relatives. I have no idea why the funeral industry is. Well, it's all about money, of course. You know, the funerals. Funeral homes make a lot of money on their funerals. Anyway, so that's today's sponsor. What else? How many? Commercial. In 30 seconds, I would like to close this monologue by stating that this is not a ripoff of the Eric Andre show or the Space Ghost talk show, although I have seen it, and it was weird because I had seen an episode of Space Ghost prior to when he became a talk show host, so it was weird. Alright, commercial right now in 3, 2, 1. Alright, welcome back to the Nicolas R. Sequeira Show, the show where I talk with myself. Now, as I promised before the commercial break, we would have a very special guest discuss the death of animation. I love vanilla frappuccinos, so here, as promised then, is Nicolas R. Sequeira. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Yay! Alright, Mr. Sequeira, you said today that you would be speaking on the death of animation. Go right ahead. Okay, Nick, thanks for that. Now, as I think you may know, the leading animation giant these days is Disney. Disney was invented by a guy named Walt Disney, and his first cartoons were his own idea. He invented Mickey Mouse, that's why Mickey Mouse cartoons are at least competent. Then he looked at public domain works and said, wow, I can steal these ideas, adapt them, and make them my own, and make a hell of a lot of money in the process. So he did. He took the Brothers Grimm, all the stories that they had taken 10 years to compile, and he turned them into films. And then he made Song of the South, which was a major deterrent to people. So after that, he decided to stop being racist, and his strategy from then on has been to assimilate every single world culture as we know it, until there are no left. He's made a movie about Chinese people, one about Australian people, one about medieval London, one about, you name it, you name any world culture, he's stolen it, repackaged it, and made it his own. Well, he hasn't changed anything from the original work. He's just taken, legends and like that, and made them into cartoons that he owns all the rights to, and he's making these cartoons which influence our children and teach them to always make lots of money with your cartoons and not make them for art, and it's very depressing. Okay, so what's your ideal, Mr. Sequeira, on computer animation? Okay, I'm glad you asked this. There's been, these days no line-drawn animations are ever done anymore, which is depressing because line-drawn animations look incredible, and it reveals that the animator is willing to take the time and effort to draw thousands of frames just to animate 30 seconds. I've done it. I've drawn a flip book before, and it's one of the most rewarding processes one can experience, but the fellows over at Disney don't enjoy doing that. What they like to do is take expensive million-dollar computer software and show off to the world how well they are at using it, even though it takes really no effort to draw this stuff on a computer and just send it, and it's the death of animation. Just one moment, sir. I'm going to check how much time we have till the commercial. Oh, we still have about 1 minute. Go on. Alright. Well, the first movie, computer animated film, Disney put out was Toy Story. It had Tim Allen and Tom Hanks. It's the kind of thing Tim Allen would do, not the kind of thing Tom Hanks would do. He was in Joe versus the Volcano, which is an incredible movie. He was in The Burbs, which is an incredible movie. He's Forrest Gump, I will say that he has redeemed himself now with David S. Pumpkins, but at the time... They're coming. They're coming. There. 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 They're here. They're here. They're here. Alright, sorry about that slight interruption. As you were saying, sir. Yes, well, this is, as I was saying, the, Toy Story is horrible. It could have been done using stop-motion animation, which is yet another wonderful type of animation. It's about toys. I'd assume that if they were going to make a movie about toys, they should have done it with stop-motion animation, because toys go really well with stop-motion animation, but instead they decided to give the children of the world a big middle finger and do it all with computer animation. So the humans in the movie are computer animated, which looks absolutely nightmarish and adds nothing to the story. It has Tom Hanks and Tim Allen. As I've said, Tim Allen is an idiot, so of course it's the kind of thing he would do. Tom Hanks, it's not the kind of thing I'd expect Tom Hanks to do, although with David S. Pumpkins, he really did redeem himself from being the cowboy thing. And from there on, Pixar turned into a festering hellhole. First off, there was the Bug movie, then the Car movie. None of them are intriguing, and none of them are interesting or thought-provoking. There's also the insane, bizarre film about the old man and the balloon. That movie won an award, I think, for portraying death in a children's movie, which it's absolutely shameless, the way that Pixar targets its audience and pretends to be high art when it's not. There's the psychology film, which rips off the movie with Bill Murray and Chris Rock, which is actually a good film. And newest, there's a film about Hispanic people, made entirely by white people. It ought to be a fun watch. I'm not going to watch it. I don't watch things that I know are going to be bad, but the point is this. Well, the worst so far has been WALL-E, the absolute worst. WALL-E is a terrible film. I saw the trailer. The trailer made it look as if it was going to be an adorable film about an adorable little robot. It's actually a G-rated Mad Max about a post-apocalyptic Earth and the decline of humanity. And it has a somewhat happy ending with a stupid joke, but that does not make up for the fact that it's a depressing pile of trash, and it's to make money. And it pretends to be environmentally aware. That's the strangest part. I don't understand Pixar. Their main motive seems to be to discuss current events. There's a new movie called, it has animals. It has talking animals, and it's an allegory for racism. This is the thing. Good animated movies like Belladonna of Sadness or Fritz the Cat are not censored. They're not for children. They're for adults with mature minds, and that's why they're good films, because they're not censored. Here's the thing. Either Disney can make thought-provoking, intellectually sound films, or it can make pandering, trashy, tasteless kids films that have no meaning whatsoever. It cannot do both. I'm not going to watch a film where animals are an allegory for racism. That's stupid. I'd much rather watch a real documentary like I Am Not Your Negro or something like that. But overall, Disney tries too hard to be relevant, and in doing so, it's completely irrelevant and stupid. and our children deserve better than that. If you want to culturally enrich them, I highly suggest you show them Gumby the movie. Even Gumby the movie is better than anything Pixar has put out. Not because of its plot. Its plot is simple, but the visual effects are absolutely stunning, and it's done entirely with clay. Art Cloakey took so much longer with that than John Lasseter ever could on one of his steaming dumpster fires. Sound opinion, sir. Allow me to see how much time there is until commercial. Oh, we went a bit over time. I'm going to cut right now, and thank you. Alright, welcome back to the Nicolas R. Sequeira Show. We're here with my guest, Nicolas R. Sequeira. So, sir, you're discussing how animation as we know it is dead. Could you elaborate on that a bit? Yes, I can go further in detail as to how Disney has ruined the cinematic universe. Not animation-wise, but still. They've purchased Marvel. They're responsible for all the superhero movies that come out these days. Well, the bad ones anyway. I haven't watched a single one of those. Well, I saw Ant-Man and hated it, and I also saw Thor Ragnarok and hated it. That night I had actually wanted to see Murder on the Orient Express, but it came on too late, so I had to see Thor Ragnarok instead, and Thor Ragnarok was much worse than Murder on the Orient Express, which I saw later and think is a very lively portrayal and revival of the whodunit genre. But as for Marvel films, the reason they're all trash is because they're made by Disney and thus censored, and they're not able to express themselves freely. When Marvel Comics began in the 60s, it was a rebellion to the corporatized culture of DC. Now Marvel has become the very thing it feared. A culture, a corporatized pile of doggy-doo. So all the Marvel movies up to this point haven't been good. Spider-Man 1 was okay with Tobey Maguire. At least it's about Spider-Man. But apart from that, the very thought of Marvel sickens me. Especially the new Avengers Infinity War film, because it acts as if a superhero crossover is something new. And as a matter of fact, the first issue of Justice League was published all the way back in 1941. I also despise superhero films that pander to a certain audience. For instance, Wonder Woman to females and Black Panther to African Americans. Because there are far better films by both groups. I can name a lot of films that are better than Black Panther and aren't made by a white studio, like Coffee. Coffee with Pam Grier is an incredible film. It's a masterwork, and it's much better than anything Black Panther could have. These days, a culture is only seen as valid if it has a superhero film or a Disney film made about it. That's why when Black Panther came out, people acted as if there weren't better films, not superhero films maybe, but there weren't better films made by black people and not a white, big studio. Same goes for Wonder Woman. The first issue of Wonder Woman came out in 1940. I assume I have it somewhere. And the first issue of Black Panther even came out in 1960-something. But the trouble is that comic books are no longer considered a valid form of media, and people won't accept that there are hundreds and hundreds of comic books about Black Panther and Wonder Woman. There's got to be a movie made about them, and that kind of thing just sickens me. It nauseates me beyond belief. Okay, sir, is there anything more that you'd like to say about any Pixar films? Yeah, sure. There's Finding the Fish. It's about an orange fish. The fish is named Nemo. It's named after either, I assume, the antagonist in Jules Verne's classic science fiction novel 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, or it's a reference to Winsor McCay's stellar 1900 strip Little Nemo and Slumberland, both of which are far better than anything that Pixar could ever produce. But they took both of those pieces of media and watered them down so that now, instead of being about a megalomaniac drifting around the ocean in his handcrafted submarine, years before submarines were in use, or about a kid who can access this complex, intricate dream world. It's about a fish who gets kidnapped, and his father, along with Ellen DeGeneres wasting her talent once more, just like Tom Hanks, has to save him from the evil humans. It's not a fun movie to watch. Oh, there is one more. Just a moment, sir. Let me check about the time. Commercial right now, but when we come back, more animation is dead from this guy. You heard it here first, folks. Let's go. Halloween. Alright, and we're back with Nicolas R here. So, sir, let me take a sip of my vanilla bean chai. This is empty, of course. Sir, you were saying about how animation as we know it is dead. Go on. Okay, yes. Well, the one Pixar film I haven't discussed yet. There is one thing I will say Disney has done well, and that's to buy Star Wars, because they've made good sequels that stand the test of time, and I think kind of sum up the extent of 40 years, although I don't like how George Lucas doesn't make them anymore, because he invented this entire universe out of nothing, and now he's not even making his own movies. But I'd say the sequels are at least competent. They're the only movies I want to see these days. I'm going to see Episode 9, certainly, but as I was saying, Pixar, along with that, Disney has also bought the entire rights to ABC television network, so they own essentially your soul, and they have 3 giant theme parks worldwide. I've never been to one because the nearest one is thousands of miles away from where I live, but they are not fun to go to. There's a funner amusement park around here, but anyway, so as I was saying, the one Pixar film which I haven't touched upon yet is the superhero movie. Apparently, it thinks it's as clever a satire of superheroes as, say, something like, I don't know, any satire of superheroes that's been made since superhero satire began. But in fact, it's just a ploy. It's about a boring family of superheroes, and they're a family, of course, and there are children in the film to appeal to younger audience members whose brains aren't fully developed and who can't connect with or identify with smarter people like adults, who are the only characters I believe in film competent enough to solve problems. But this film is utter garbage. I saw it once. I was forced to see it. I didn't enjoy it. I think Pixar films could very well be used as a torture device in federal penitentiaries. But anyway, yeah, that film isn't good. Neither is the car one or the robot one. I think the robot one is definitely the worst. It's depressing, unrealistic, and altogether a horrible account of climate change. And I believe in climate change. I don't believe that we can somehow have more Chinese takeout cartons and plastic bags than we have the oil and resources and wood to make. In addition to that, of course, all traces of human civilization will eventually be absorbed back by the earth, so it's not as if we're permanently killing it. It will recover, and there's technically nothing better. Well, once we're gone, we might kill ourselves. It might be suicide, but at the very least, it will recover from all that trash eventually. In the film, you can't have more trash than there are resources to produce that trash. What's actually concerning is the buildup of CO2 in the atmosphere. So if the movie wanted to make an accurate representation of climate change, it could do so by making the world smoky or something, but it doesn't have the guts to do that. It's got to simplify things for its idiotic child audience, and that's what I think is the problem with cartoons today. They're too pandering to the youth, and there's no revolutionary new animation for adults. Except for the animated sitcoms, and those are horrible. Well, South Park is bad, Rick and Morty is bad, Family Guy is bad. The Simpsons is at least somewhat good, but not as good as Life in Hell. Matt Groening needs to draw more Life in Hell anyway. This has been the Nicolas R. Sequeira. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Yay. Woo. Yay. Yay. Alright, it's the last segment of the show. So, for today, we have a professional musician, Nicolas R. Sequeira. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is with his instrumental extravaganza, Banging on a Mug. Alright. Woo! Yay! Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that about wraps it up. Now, in closing, I would like to say Happy Halloween on this Halloween edition of the Nicolas R. Sequeira Show. Happy Halloween to you and yours. Happy Halloween time. Happy Halloween-mas. Halloween is indeed a time for rejoicing and a celebration of the human spirit and the ability to conquer Catholicism with pagan rituals that one can really enjoy, because Halloween is the one holiday that has nothing to do with Catholicism. They tried to absorb it and make it All Hallows Eve once, or Hallowmas, but they failed at that because it's just too pagan to propagate into the world of Christianity. And so today we have the holiday we all know and love, where there used to be blood sacrifices upon the islands of Ireland and Scotland and London before the Romans invaded and turned it into a Christian nation with very Christian values. There used to be druids who would commit unholy acts upon this day. So enjoy the one pagan holiday remaining that hasn't been corrupted by the lie of Christianity that has spread across the world like an unyielding pathogen. If SNL is observing this, then please bring David S. Pumpkins back, and not just in one of those cheesy cartoon Halloween specials. I'm talking a sequel sketch, with him and his skeleton crew. What else to add? Yes. If you're given any apples this Halloween, just take them, and don't worry about there being a razor blade in them, because that's an urban legend. There's never been a single case of that reported. One lady gave out rat poison one year that clearly said poison. She was sued, but as of today, there have been no reported cases of apples with razor blades in them. And even if there were, kids, if you get any apples, just check the skin, because a razor blade will leave a visible mark. Just hand the apple to your parent and say, "Can you take this razor blade out of here?" Because they're not hard to take out of anywhere. And then you can chomp on your apple all you want without fear of it having any razor blades in it. But of course it doesn't, because that's all made up. And in addition, let's make this a very fun Halloween by not going through every 1,000th piece of candy of your kids to check that there's no poison in it. I can assure you there's not. But if there is, and you really want to sue somebody or put someone in prison for the rest of their natural lives, then I suppose that's your hobby and your right to do. But just take it easy, alright? Because chances are that people know the laws and they're not trained psychopaths. Anyway, this has been the Halloween edition of the Nicolas R. Sequeira Show. Hang tight, America. 24/7 infotainment directed straight to your face hole on InfoBytes. Yay! Woo.